Jameis.
Oh, man. I do. All right, we're back. Finishing our thought on Jacob deGrom. Yes, I think we can all unanimously agree that he is the best pitcher in baseball right now. I'm not going to question it.
No one should. Maybe a Yankee fan would, but that's just for the sake of argument.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see when they get out there on the diamond, and he's got the hot stuff. All right, so this portion, part two, we want to talk a little fantasy football. We got those live drafts coming up. We're really sure how much studying we should do. But we didn't want it to be all for nothing. Some COVID shit broke out, but it looks like they're going to play. And who are you guys drafting in your fantasy leagues?
Well, every year I make it an effort to draft my guy Keenan Allen because he's a fantasy football machine.
PPR? Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Now everyone knows that's going to be something different. But I was looking at quarterbacks, and I'm the type to not reach for a quarterback because I know the guys I do a fantasy football league with, they do reach for a quarterback. I'm not going to do that. But I was looking at someone like Kyler Murray, considering how many many targets he has now. He has DeAndre Hopkins. He has Larry Fitzgerald, who's probably like 50 years old but still can play football. he has a running game too, and I feel like he wasn't really talked about last year because he was in the same division as the team that went to the Super Bowl the previous year, which was the Rams, who really didn't do much, but also, of course, Russell Wilson. So
and the 49ers.
And Jimmy G, of course. But
I heard Jimmy G was holding back the 49ers.
That's an interesting
Not going to disagree.
Because I like Jimmy G, but I do think he's a little bit overrated because he was in the Super Bowl, so people was like, oh well, he must be doing something crazy. Well, he threw like single-digit passes in the NFC Championship game, so I'm not gonna give him too much credit because that's in today's game. That's crazy that you throw that many passes because that tells you they rely on their running game more than they rely on you. So
that's also the Kyle Shanahan system, though. Considering last year at one point they had Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Matt Breida, and God, I'm missing one other running back. But regardless, they have one of the deepest, if not the deepest. Well, he was hurt last year, right? Yeah, yeah. And I mean, they have one of it.
Matt Breida. If not Matt Breida.
Yeah. But now he's in Miami now. He was traded to Miami,
and
it's gonna be interesting to see if they trade Raheem Mostert as well, who.
Yeah, I didn't know he was disgruntled over there.
Yeah. So I mean, Mostert's a guy where you give him the ball, and he'll churn out 4.5 yards of carry for you all day, every day, no problem. But back to Kyler Murray, Brandon. My bad.
That's so good. But I do think he's going to be he should be someone who's going to be highly touted because, not for nothing, I think a lot of people criticize the Cliff Kingsbury hiring, but I think in the long term it's going to do them well because they have got guys that fit the system, and also they address the offensive line in the draft too by getting. I think they drafted Tristan Wirfs, correct? Or I'm thinking about another team.
No, I believe that's who they grabbed. Yeah.
Right. So anything to get the offensive line going, I do think that's what's going to be the best for Kyler Murray, and and also for running backs. I'm just saying this. I have not given up hope on David Montgomery yet.
I'm with you.
And I do believe that you have no choice if you're the Bears to learn from your mistakes from last year of not addressing the offensive line or changing up the scheme. They got a new offensive line coach. I think his name is Luis Castillo. He's among one of the best in the game from everyone I'm hearing from. They have no excuse, and David Montgomery doesn't have an excuse now, unless the talent is really the issue. It is not really the coaches, so we're going to see about that. So, and wide receiver, of course, Keenan Allen. May I say more? That's my guy.
Yeah,
and even without Rivers,
just label me as the Keenan Allen guy.
I mean, but regardless, Tyrod Taylor is most likely going to be the Chargers quarterback coming out of the gate this year, especially considering there's no preseason games. I have more on that regarding rookies after this point, but I really think – Tyrod Taylor was always a good fantasy quarterback when he was in Buffalo.
Yeah, he was.
He was very, very consistent, and you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. And I think Keenan Allen will have a good solid year as always if he stays healthy, of course.
I agree.
But you were talking a little bit. I mean, I mentioned it about Herbert, right? There's someone who I'm really, really targeting this year, who kind of like showed how great of a workhorse back he could be last year down the stretch is Joe Mixon. And my reasoning behind that is,
I think everyone is aware of the Joe Mixon.
Yeah, no, but like I think he's going to have an even better year than people are anticipating, just because Joe Burrow's going to have less time practicing in full pads with the team. They're going to have no preseason games.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Rookie,
like, I think a lot of people are all in on Joe Mixon.
But he's still playing for the Bengals. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and I feel like a lot of fantasy people are going to buy into the hype on Burrow because of what he did at LSU last year, and that's going to come back.
You think that's going to bite you in the ass?
This year, at least, I think it will. I think Joe Burrow will eventually turn into a good NFL quarterback, and I think that Zach Taylor is a smart football coach. And it's gonna be interesting to see what they do in Cincinnati, though. I think Joe Mixon, I think he can easily, if they just feed him the football, go for 1,500 total yards. I really do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It'll be interesting, that receiving corps. AJ Green, he's a huge question mark, but I think he'll be key to Joe Burrow's
hopefully John Ross can stay healthy too.
I know, he was really.
I want to see him stay healthy. So you see, like he can
be. T. Higgins, right?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they still have God, I'm drawing a blank.
Boyd.
Yep, Tyler Boyd. Thank you.
Yeah, and that other guy that was kind of relevant last year.
Auden Tate. Auden Tate. Auden Tate. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't hate that offense. It's pretty sexy on paper. To the Cardinals' point too, very sexy on paper. I just feel like that Kingsbury offense is not going to do him any services. I feel like that's like too much thinking 3-yard pass type of shit. I don't know.
I kind of disagree with you. I mean, Kyler Murray, too, down the stretch last year, showed what he could do a little bit, introducing DeAndre Hopkins to that offense, entering his second year in the system, and getting rid of David Johnson. I think that's going to help Kyler Murray, too.
I agree.
I mean, David Johnson, you were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo holding the 49ers back. I think the Cardinals were kind of holding on to David Johnson just a little bit too long. And
God,
which is crazy to think. I mean,
what
was
gift,
it? A broken wrist, was it? What he had, and ever since his career's just gone downhill.
Yeah.
I in my big league I do with my friends, we do a super flex, so you can play any position at the super flex position. So it's basically virtually a 2-quarterback league. So quarterbacks have a lot more value in this league. You'll see a few quarterbacks drafted in the first round this year. I'm sure you'll see Mahomes and Lamar Jackson.
I'm targeting Mahomes big time this year. Not trying to fuck up the quarterback pick.
Yeah. And but the thing is, I'm going to be targeting a guy like Kyler. Like 100%, I'll probably be able to grab him in my league, probably about the second or third round, I would guess, and I would feel comfortable taking him there. But if I'm in a standard league,
yeah, that's pretty high.
With the 2-quarterback league, like we're basically starting 2 quarterbacks, so the value of this quarterbacks in this league.
Was that? I'm sorry, the super flex.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
In the super flex league, and in this particular league, they're a lot higher. I mean, I'm sure his ADP, I don't know what it is. I haven't looked at. I'm sure it'll probably be about the 8th round though in standard leagues.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's going to be a very, very good quarterback this year.
I kind of like the idea of the super flex position, because you kind of see like teams starting to use the second option at quarterback.
Yeah, it made our league a lot more competitive last year. It was it's pretty interesting. It was the first year we'd done it last year. It was like our 8th year doing this particular league. I whiffed on my quarterback pick, my first quarterback pick last year. I took Jared Goff, and we saw what happened with the Rams last year. I was a big Jared Goff believer.
I'm a big Cooper Kupp guy.
Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, I think he adds a lot of value to that wide receiver position for half the price. Um, yeah, we'll see. Should be a good year. I do a auction draft these days. Anyone do that?
I've done one before. I enjoy them. I really do enjoy them because you're able to
Yeah,
get
I
your
can't go
guys.
back. I can't go back. Yeah, you get your guys. Yeah, I feel like with the snake drafts, too often you're at a huge disadvantage depending on where you fall in the draft pick. Like some people have
How about I've always had the worst luck with it.
yeah, yeah. Um, but what are you gonna do? I mean, there's really talented guys for the first 3 rounds usually, no matter where you are in the draft.
You win your drafts though in rounds 7 through 12.
That's true too.
Mhm.
What about the quarterback points though? Do you guys do the 4-point touchdown and like?
No, we do 6-point touchdowns actually.
Yeah, I was thinking of switching back to that.
In my opinion, I think 6-point touchdowns because if you're giving 6-point touchdowns for running backs, receivers, and tight ends, why wouldn't you give them to the quarterback?
Well,
That's my
because,
logic.
you know,
That's my
running
logic
back-
behind that.
Those guys aren't going to get more than 20 touchdowns tops, and Mahomes can easily get 50 touchdowns.
I understand the logic, and since I've been playing fantasy
an average
football,
quarterback like Aaron Rodgers could get 30 touchdowns.
Mhm.
I like that. But another guy who I'm particularly avoiding this year, just avoiding in general, is at the tight end position, Austin Hooper.
Oh, yeah.
The signing in Cleveland, I mean, David Njoku's demanding a trade after that, but he should have been demanding a trade after how little the Browns have been using him.
Oof.
And, I mean, Hooper had a really, really good thing going in Atlanta with him and Matt Ryan. Not a lot of pressure on him with Calvin Ridley and Julio. And I understand he's going into an offense that has Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry, but I just
OBJ, he has screwed me over more times in drafts.
I despise Baker Mayfield as an NFL quarterback. One of the most electric college football players I've ever watched, in my opinion. But it's not translating to the NFL.
He's also a jerk, in my opinion. Like he just rubs me the wrong way.
Do you think we've seen all we're gonna see from Baker?
I will not say that. Because I'm very, very patient when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, and in terms of when they get into the league, or maybe 2 or 3 years down the line. So I want to see one more year out of him. If he doesn't work in Stefanski's system, then I guess he's just not the guy.
Yeah, because I don't know where else you're gonna have a maybe 6-foot quarterback with average arm strength stepping in the league. I mean, he's going to stick around in Cleveland for a while, I think, but that defense they're building in Cleveland is special, and I'm sure that's going to carry him eventually.
Yeah, this is a big year for him to prove himself. Speaking of big years for quarterbacks to prove themselves,
Knew where you were going with this.
who's going to start for the Bears?
It's going to be Mitch. It's going to be Mitch, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I
agree. I think it'll be Mitch.
So
but he'll be on a short leash.
No, I agree. My knee-jerk reaction when the Bears originally traded for Foles, I wrote a blog on it, and I was over the moon.
Big Dick Nick.
Oh yeah. I'm a fan of Foles. I think he's a good NFL quarterback. I like the price that the Bears paid for him, and if we weren't in this world where the coronavirus is ruining everything, I really do think Foles would probably be starting week 1. But then again, you have to think about it. Mitch Trubisky against the Detroit Lions, he has looked like he's been an NFL Hall of Famer every time he's played them. And Lions week 1, I mean, and the thing is,
I think with no preseason,
you're going to have to roll out with Mitch. And I still think it's Mitch's job to lose, just considering he knows the system and he's been working out with his guys. Foles hasn't been able to get out of Florida, supposedly. And everything that I've read this offseason, Mitch has been tossed out of Hallis Hall by coaches telling him to go home because he needs to take a break. He's doing what's necessary, but does he have the skill to do it? I don't know. I really don't know.
Nah, I got to
We'll find
refute something
out.
you said because you said that I understand the familiarity standpoint with Mitch Trubisky and how long he's been there, but also I think Matt Nagy was on the staff when Nick Foles was a part of the team too.
You're right.
And yeah, so I do think that'll be the reason why I'm going to be in a minority and say that Nick Foles is going to be the week 1 starter. And I like what you said. Mitch has looked very, very good against Detroit. But I think I'm more looking towards the long-term view in terms of how I do think if Mitch starts, the leash is going to be very, very short. But I do think that in terms of capitalizing on the defense that's in place right now, because I will be the first to tell you, we have a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. So, in my opinion, if you have the right quarterback for that, yeah. Well, you know what? You might be right. But I do believe that if you have the right quarterback in place with that defense, in all honesty, and I know the Bears' schedule is like middle of the road, but that's a 12-4 record team, easily.
On paper, it should be. I wholeheartedly agree.
They should benefit from an easier schedule.
And just to kind of push back on your point as to why I don't think Foles will be the starter. I think if Nick Foles starts week 1, I think that's Ryan Pace admitting that he messed up.
Yeah.
And although he kind of already did it, considering he traded for Nick Foles, but I don't think he's going to do that yet because that's going to put him on an even shorter leash. And I think Ryan Pace, realistically, if the Bears I also agree that I think the Bears have a very, very good shot at going 12-4 this year. But if they go, let's say they win 8 games this year, I think Pace will get 1 more year and they'll give him 1 more draft. And it'll be really, really interesting to see the route the Bears go.
You know what? I agree with you. And I think it'll be mostly contingent on the quarterback play, whether Pace keeps his job or not. Because I think with bringing in Foles and being the person that drafted Trubisky, and you didn't draft Watson and Mahomes, that tired saying that people use, I do think that it's like, okay, can you ever get this quarterback situation right? If not, then you got to go. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, because I don't think the Foles trade wasn't a bad thing by any means, but you did kind of like overpay for him in terms of a trade too, which I wasn't happy about it at first, but I was just like, you know what? This is somebody that knows how to play in the clutch. This is someone who last time we saw him in the playoffs, you had Alshon Jeffrey dropping a pass and ended up into a Saints defender's hands. So I do think if that didn't happen, he would have probably led them down for a touchdown or something, because he's just that special in the playoffs, as we've seen. But
yeah, he's got a real nasty playoff record. If that offense can get going, get clicking, watch out for that Bears team.
And here's the thing too, like the best case scenario for the Bears is that Trubisky works out, so we don't have to spend another high draft pick on the quarterback. So we can be comfortable in giving him an extension when the time comes around. Now, if he has another middle of the road year, but he still makes the playoffs, I don't see him coming back unless they want to make the same mistake with Jay Cutler when he had that big game against Green Bay in the Week 17 where Chris Conte blew the coverage, and they gave him a big contract because they was like, okay, maybe he could perform on a big stage, but that didn't work out. I just hope that they just avoid the same mistake that they did with Jay Cutler, because the Jay Cutler extension, in my opinion, was a disaster. Not bad, but a disaster.
Jay Cutler, special place in my heart.
It was worth it.
Jay Cutler never had the opportunity to be great, in my opinion. But that's an argument for a different day.
Yeah.
And that's an argument for a different day. But the Bears team, it's going to be interesting to say the least what happens this year.
far more likely we see Nick Foles starting playoff game 1 than regular season game 1.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. It's a very good way to put it.
Oh man,
Man, I've seen a draft class. I mean, listen, this kid Trey Lance out of North Dakota State. He might be there if the Bears are another road team.
He's special. He's
He
special.
put up video game numbers. And listen, he has a skill set that fits Nagy's system. I'm all for it because I don't think we're going to be bad enough to get Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. So might as well get next best thing.
Hypothetically speaking, if say the Bears stumble out of the gate, come out 0-3, let's just say that.
no.
Are we tanking for Trevor? Are you okay with tanking for Trevor?
Honestly, no, because I think in
No,
today's
the
NFL,
defense is too good. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
too
yeah,
good,
yeah.
and it would just really be unfortunate to waste that defense, especially with the NFL. The NFL is so unpredictable that you could come back from an 0-3 record.
Yeah.
It's not likely, but you know, like it's crazy things
0-6
can happen, especially
maybe.
with the expanded playoffs too. Anything can happen.
Yeah, if they're 0-6, then yeah.
Yeah, they're 0-6. Then I mean, forget it. Forget the season.
I also forgot about the expanded playoff too. So that's also a very good point. Completely forgot about that.
What's the expanded playoff? The seven teams, right? Each side.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, 6 wild card games. Holy smokes.
It's going crazy.
Uh,
I mean, listen, I'm here for it.
That one less bye, then how did they pull that off? One less bye game?
I'm not exactly sure.
That sounds right.
Three
That
wild
sounds
card,
right.
and then one plays the bye, and then the other two would have to play each other.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, have the best record. Second place is just first loser. Yeah, that should be good. Pumped for football. Hope there's no issues with COVID. I guess you could probably see some guys sitting during the year with a little COVID, maybe miss 2 weeks. 2 weeks with COVID. But then they heal up and come back and they're ready to go.
Yeah,
safe for your playoffs.
I can't wait to see people on Twitter just complaining about people losing fantasy games because of late scratches of their guys getting coronavirus on tests. It's just I can't wait, and it's gonna be like, come on, like just get over yourself. I understand, but don't tweet about it. It's gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
All right, listen. I'd rather someone say it in my group chat rather than say it on Twitter, because so I can shut you down in private instead of in public, because you're being an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah. One final thought on the fantasy football stuff. How about that receiver class?
Solid. Even the draft class that came in.
The draft class
going to
that
be
came in.
Loaded. It'll be very, very hard to miss out on a wide receiver this fantasy draft. And I love it too, because I feel like I always miss on wide receivers.
Yeah, don't pick OBJ and pretty much anyone else. You should be good.
Yeah. And as a guy who usually waits on receiver and goes heavy running back to start out my drafts, I'm a big fan of the way it's shaping up this year. I mean, I did a little bit of brushing up on just way too early rankings earlier today, and I believe
not to.
And I believe in the first 15 players, I think 11 of them were running backs. So
yeah, well,
that's exciting to me. Top 5, yeah.
Top 5, all your Saquon, your
McCaffrey.
Yeah, your Kamara, Zeke.
Yeah.
And Cook if he's healthy.
Yeah.
But after that, then it gets a little questionable. Who do you want to go after?
I'm also interested. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm also interested in Alexander Madison. I wonder if he's going to be the guy in LA. Is it Madison or is it?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
That's someone else. I'm thinking about guy from Memphis. I can't forget his name. Henderson. Darrell Henderson.
Henderson. Yeah.
They both had dreadlocks. I got confused because I wanted the Bears to get both of them in the draft play. That's different play. I'm also interested to see how he's going to do, if he's going to be the guy. Do they have?
Yeah, it seems like they got kind of a two-headed backfield. You never like those two-headed backfields.
They I mean, The Rams, they just have a lot of guys right there right now who are unproven. They have Henderson, like you said. I think Malcolm Brown is there, if I
Yeah.
remember
Still on the
correctly.
team. Yeah.
And then they drafted Cam Akers, I believe his name is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they got a lot of
Yeah. So
mouths to feed.
So, I mean, if they're drafting Akers, I'm sure that's the direction they want to head in. But again, with the lack of practices and rookie mini camps and everything, it's going to be really interesting to see who comes out starting the year as their starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fully capable of getting some guy out there that'll have a return on investment. I want to know about, speaking of dreadlock guys, running backs, what about Todd Gurley down in Atlanta?
I don't expect much from him.
No, not at all.
He's done?
Yeah. I would call him not
What
even
are they
done.
going to do? Give him 18
I'd call
carries
him,
a game until he fucking
I'd
can't
call him
play anymore?
finished. I'd call him finished. His knees, just like, I mean, Todd Gurley went from being, 2 years ago, considered the almost unanimous best running back in football to not being able to run anymore because his arthritis and his knees have gotten so bad. And I understand he's had his past injury issues with he tore his ACL in college, I believe, and everything else. He tore one too in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. But what a fall from grace. That's just, it's unbelievable, but he won't play the whole year. Let's not kid ourselves.
You know, it's funny because I was like, you know what? Since everyone's sleeping on him, I might stash him on my bench just for the heck of it. If he works out, he works out. If he doesn't, he does. I'll drop him next week.
Yeah, I feel like that's a guy that's going to get picked in the third or fourth round, or kind of,
he'll definitely be overdrafted.
Shell out $30 or $40 to get him in an auction. So I would probably shy away from it, But
also, with as much as the Falcons like to throw the football, I could also see him settling into a good role there where if they don't feed him the football more than, let's say, 15 times a game, he's great catching the ball out of the backfield as well, as we saw in LA. So I'm kind of talking myself back into thinking he might have a good year right now. Who knows? You really don't know. And he's not all too familiar with the system. So that's another thing you have to factor in. It's a weird year.
We've been so burned by injury-ridden players that we just know to stay away from them, and it's not worth it.
But also, I've learned in the past, because I've told myself I'm not going to draft a certain guy just because he has that injury history, and you get burned if you structure around that, because a ridiculous amount of guys have that injury history, and you're playing in the NFL, you're going to get beat up. That's the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. If you're drafting your top running backs, always draft their handcuffs. It's simple. Save yourself the headache. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of Getting back to those receivers real quick. So many deep guys. Who stands out to you the most as a guy you should target later in the draft?
Oof. That's a good question.
I like Scary Terry.
Of the Washington football team?
The Washington Red Barons or whatever.
Washington football team this year.
Is it just the Washington football team?
Yeah, that's what they announced today.
Okay, a little late to that. Fuck. I saw the funniest fucking logo joke. It was like, what should they rename their team to? And it just changed the logo to a redskin potato. But yeah, I do like me some Scary Terry. I like that AJ Brown from Tennessee.
I was gonna say him. I
like Deebo Samuel. I like I like who's the guy that Dallas just got drafted?
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah. The Denver guy.
KJ?
Cortland Sutton? Or
one of them.
Different ones.
Or even Tyler Johnson from Tampa Bay.
Oh, another Tampa Bay receiver?
So I can tell the wealth is going to be spread, and truthfully, you can't go wrong with any of the 4 targets, which is Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, or even Tyler Johnson, you can't go wrong. They're loaded. It's
You
crazy.
can only go wrong at quarterback, not being able to get the ball to him. Oh shit! I just lost. I'm trying to think. Oh, those Seahawks receivers, Metcalf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Metcalf's gonna have a big year. He's gonna have a big year.
Someone who I think I'm gonna be going after, for like I would put him in like wide receiver 4 territory, is Henry Ruggs.
Okay.
Rookie with the Raiders.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna.
I mean,
I just something about that.
I mean, I understand why you wouldn't think he would, just because of the Raiders' past history with overdrafting speedy receivers, like we saw with Darius Hayward-Bay back in, what was that, 08 or 09?
I think
could have had Crabtree.
Yeah, and I'm a big Crabtree guy. I would always, he's a guy who I would always draft. But the thing with Ruggs is, I really do think that, like, when Derek Carr wants to, I think Derek Carr can be an above-average NFL quarterback.
I agree.
I think it's too hard for him to be an above-average NFL quarterback on any consistent basis.
He also hasn't – I'm not going to say he hasn't had consistent receivers, considering he's had Crabtree and Cooper throughout his career at one point.
Agreed. Definitely sexiest roster around him right now.
But when he had Cooper back in the day, when he would throw the deep ball to Cooper, Cooper's not as fast as Ruggs. I really think if Ruggs is able to get in the open field and Gruden utilizes him in the right way, like we know he can, I think that he can be a good mid to late round pick.
It's also interesting to, like, what if Carr gets benched for Mariota too?
Yeah. I
don't think it's going to happen, but I think.
No, I don't either, but.
Possibilities there because they signed him for a reason.
You never know with Gruden.
Yeah.
What about DJ Chark down in Jacksonville?
I would draft him because that was the main guy that Minshew had a connection with. But also, they also drafted Laviska Shenault. I'm looking out for him too. Yeah. And he went to Colorado. He has some pretty good I think he has a pretty good quarterback. I think he has Steven Montez as his quarterback, and he was a pretty good prospect as well. And he produced well. So I think that Chark having someone opposite of him that's not D.D. Westbrook, who's been very inconsistent, I think they both going to be in for a good year. Not a big year, but a good year.
Yeah. I also just want to throw this out there too, throw it out there. Cam Newton called that, going to the Patriots.
Nope. I'm avoiding him like the plague.
I think if you're desperate, if you want to go I don't want to take a quarterback until late and not pay anything for him, but get good value guy, I think he's your man.
I'm taking him.
You see, I understand that logic, but again, I mean, I sound like a broken record right now. He's going to be walking into that system, no prior knowledge, minimal training camp, no preseason. I'm not really sure you know what you're going to get out of him. And you don't know what you're going to get out of anyone when you draft them in fantasy football, obviously.
I'll leave that to Belichick to figure out, how to play the mismatch. And
no, I agree that he's playing for the Patriots. They're going to find a way. They were content at starting Jared Stidham at one point before they got Cam.
I never believe that.
But I'm not sold. He just hasn't looked the same since.
He's finally healthy.
Yeah, I think that was the big problem. He wasn't healthy.
But the thing is he healthy though? He looks ginormous, like bigger than he's ever looked before in all of his hype videos he's posted on social media. So who knows? I'll probably bite the dust on this one, but I'm avoiding Cam. I really am.
All right. I got to get you guys in the Goonery official fantasy football league. I'm not sure if you guys have extra room for another draft this summer. I'm trying to look at Cam Newton's fat ass right now. I don't know. We'll see. Good shit. All right, boys. Thanks for coming on. Follow the Goonery, YouTube at the Goonery, Instagram at the Goonery, Facebook if you still use it, Twitter at the Goonery.